From ABC 7 News, this is a breaking news alert.
In Baltimore, so many signs of the life in a suffering city, lingering anger and defiance despite a citywide curfew that's in effect right now, and at the same time calls for a peaceful recovery from yesterday's violence. What a difference 24 hours makes. We are standing here near the intersection that was the center of so much attention here yesterday as flames broke out of businesses up and down this street here at Pennsylvania Avenue and West North Avenue. Tonight, though, the police are in place, and Governor Larry Hogan, who had promised that there would be peace and quiet on the streets of Baltimore, his word does appear to be holding at this hour. An hour ago, the curfew went into effect for the night, and up until that point, the question was whether or not it would be honored. There were people who were in the street, laying on the street at this very intersection, challenging the police to arrest them. Some of them challenging the police to use their tear gas on them. Well, we did not see that happen here. Helicopters came out and they circled the skies over the area and warned people to begin to leave the area, and slowly but surely that's exactly what happened. Now, however, behind me, we did happen to see some tear gas and some smoke bombs that were deployed here, but at this point things have calmed down. Now, let me give you a sense of what's been happening here. 20 police officers have been wounded here in Baltimore. Hundreds of people were arrested during yesterday's riots. The last totals that we had were around 230, and all of this is centered on the death of Freddie Gray in police custody. Everyone knows that story now, but there were so many tense moments on the streets of Baltimore throughout the evening, and things now appear to be calming down. We have got our team of reporters scattered all around the city tonight. I want to get things started right now with our Tom Rousey, who was literally about 200 yards behind me, who was in the middle of that tear gas and smoke storm just a matter of, what, 20 minutes ago, Tom?
That's right, Leon. Definitely within the last half hour, things got crazy out here. But right now, things have calmed down. You can see the police line behind me. That line has advanced over the last hour quite a bit from where they were before. Here's how things went down. You basically had a situation where things were being thrown at the police, including firecrackers, and eventually they fired back. And this is what they fired back: tear gas canisters into the crowd. Here's video of what was going on within the past half hour. Again, initially there were bottles being thrown at police, most of them plastic, a few of them glass. Then all of a sudden a bunch of guys at once, many of them with their faces covered, threw firecrackers at the police. Soon after that, the tear gas started coming into the crowd, and it was not long after that that a lot of the crowd that was throwing things at police did disperse. It has been a very unusual and surreal night out here. We've seen a mix of a lot of things, believe it or not, one of them being a street party.
But this is far from over.
Tonight, the governor says there are 2,000 National Guard troops and 1,000 police officers from all over Maryland, plus D.C., Pennsylvania, and New Jersey.
This combined force will not tolerate violence or looting.
Today, residents began to understand the full damage from the riots. This is the inside of the CVS that was looted and burned. There were some outbursts and more arrests, but it was nothing like what we saw Monday. Before the curfew set in, city marching bands came near the scene of some of Monday's worst unrest, sending a message
to show people that Baltimore is not what they say it is. Every kid out here is not bad. They not bad. This is the reflection of Baltimore City, right here. Positive black men and young ladies.
The streets became a surreal scene, a mix of protest, police, onlookers, and street party. But reminders of what happened Monday were never far away.
We're going out, making ourselves known that we're out on the streets.
There's no timeline for how long the National Guard will stay.
Our job really is to stay as long as we're needed. Really the governor is our commander-in-chief at this point.
And again, right now, at least near the corner of North and Pennsylvania, where a lot of things went down yesterday, you can see in the distance there, most of those folks you see are media. So the street is largely clear here. I can't speak for all areas of town, but I can say that calm has been restored after that wild scene you saw earlier. The police line, again, holding right here, hasn't advanced in the last few minutes. So at least here for now, things have calmed down. But even within the last half hour, they got very, very dicey. Reporting live in West Baltimore, I'm Tom Rousey, ABC 7 News.
All right, you got it, Tom. Now, the city of Baltimore is under a curfew right now. Everyone was ordered to be inside at 10 o'clock just over an hour ago. And right now, the streets are being patrolled by the National Guard. Richard Reed now continues our coverage from what was the epicenter of yesterday's chaos. Rich?
Well, that was the big question, Leon. Would people obey this curfew or not? Apparently, a lot of folks didn't. We're looking east now. This is all live. We're looking east on West North Avenue, and you can see police still out there. Now, a lot of media in the street now. More media than protesters that we've seen. But as Tom Rousey mentioned, we did have that tear gas issue. They began launching that tear gas within the last 45 minutes or so, and people very, very quickly dispersed. But as we've said, they've had about 2,000 of these National Guard troops out in force. That appeared to make some difference to some folks. We also had some arrests by local police, and we also had people who took part in what they called a unity line. They would actually act as buffers between the police and protesters. So a long night indeed, but a lot of folks pretty upset this evening.
A lot of these young men just don't have anywhere else to put that anger and upset. And my fear is that if provoked by having the National Guard here, that it could get worse.
This is a barrier between the protesters and our police force to assist them or any kind of way to keep people off of them, stop trouble or prevent trouble if we can.
I guess we can get our point across by doing this peacefully. But this just shows that we can come together as a neighborhood and have a peaceful cause of respect.
And just wanted to show you the opposite direction of where some of the protests were occurring. And look at this, the street virtually empty right now. So it appears that tear gas has had some effect. But again, the police, let's wheel around one more time, Ben. You can see the police are still there. They have their riot gear up. Their chopper is still flying. So this may indeed be a long night. Live in Baltimore, Richard Reeve, ABC 7 News.
All right, thank you, Rich. It may be a long night indeed, but let me tell you something. What we just saw here for the first time in hours is we saw some of the police over here actually putting down their riot gear and actually taking seats. So perhaps they're getting a sense that things are beginning to calm down here. But for the business owners here in this area, many of them were looted and lost everything. And for them, the big question is what happens next. Jay Korf now takes a look at what is going to be a very, very long and difficult rebuilding process in this area. Jay?
Indeed, Lan, it has been just an awful and very difficult day for a lot of business owners. As you can see, storefronts are boarded up, in some cases closed down. This city is trying to clean up and put itself back together.
I just think it's just terrible. They shouldn't have done this.
Baltimore, still reeling, is trying to reclaim itself. But 24 hours after mayhem upended neighborhoods, desolation and destruction still define parts of Charm City.
Riots are the voice of the unheard, but now that you've spoken, what exactly did you convey? What is the message that I'm supposed to hear?
Scores of business owners are cleaning up and assessing what it will take to restore what took so long to build. Mamadou Niagando says he worked tirelessly for 3 years delivering pizzas, saving every penny so he could open up a pizza and sub shop of his own, which he did only months ago.
I invest my money into a business. Before I get anything back from it, everything went down the drain.
Rioters torched the pawn shop next door, then smashed their way into his place, stealing what they could. He says his roof was also severely damaged by the fire, so much so that he doesn't have the resources to go on.
So I guess I'm going to have to close my store.
Baltimore will bounce back, but it will take time to heal from just one day of rage. Now, the state recently launched a website. If you want to help with maybe your time or with your money on helping rebuild Baltimore, you can. Go to MarylandUnites.org. Again, that website, MarylandUnites.org. Live in Baltimore, Jay Korf, ABC 7 News.
right, thank you, Jay. And as you know, outrage can sometimes be contagious. And what we are seeing once again is that the demonstrations are not just being limited to here in Baltimore. Here's new video from Chicago tonight. Thousands there were gathering in protest, rather to protest in support of Baltimore and the people here. And tonight, a gathering in Washington, D.C. as well, near the Verizon Center. That crowd also calling for justice after the death of Freddie Gray. Roz Plater live now with the latest from Northwest. Roz.
Leon, about 36 protesters showed up here. Many folks we saw months ago during the Ferguson protest. They come in, they shut down major intersections. They began that here tonight in Chinatown.
You haven't seen us in a while, but if you didn't know, we come to D.C. and we shut it down.
Bystanders that they hadn't been active in a while, but tonight they were standing in solidarity with the people of Baltimore, demanding answers in the police custody death of Freddie Gray. They emphasized this protest would be peaceful. They blocked a few intersections, they chanted, then they walked over to the White House, where security is very tight tonight because of the state dinner. They could not get onto the plaza, nor could they get onto Lafayette Park, so they staged a sit-in in the street near the Treasury building with lots of D.C. police and Secret Service nearby. The Twitterverse tonight says that there will be another of these protests tomorrow at Mount Vernon Square. We're live in Northwest D.C. I'm Roz Plater, ABC 7 News.
Thank you, Roz, for that. Now, as we said, the curfew is in effect here in Baltimore, but we may not see the collective sigh of relief being taken here until 5 a.m. when it ends. In the meantime, we'll keep you posted on what we see here. Allison, back to you.
All right, Leon, thank you so much for your reporting all day from Baltimore. We'll check back in with you in just a few minutes.